If someone told me they want to do a theatrical release of a love story with an unknown cast in today's times, I would call it crazy. With every other Bollywood movie flopping, mounting a movie like Saiyaara with relatively unknown debutantes and no other solid star cast almost felt like it was going to be too hard for this movie to succeed unless it was genuinely a solid movie with solid songs. The songs so far have been good, but is the movie really that good that it can help the ship sail? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So Saiyaara marks the debut of Ahan Pandey, who is Chunky Pandey's nephew, and Aneet Padda. Aneet, on the other hand, doesn't really have any film family connection, but well, in this review, we shall dive into how solid the two of them actually are. Now, Saiyaara is in a space very similar to Aashiqui 2, intense hero, raw emotions, and a simple girl, and how she has a positive impact on his life. Well, except in the second half of the story, they show how the changed hero actually influences the girl's life as well. So without revealing a lot more, let's dive into what's good. So let's start off with the acting. Ahan Pandey. As the movie starts, you see Ahan portray this intense, angry young man right off the bat. But what really threw me off was how much he sounded like Ranbir Kapoor while acting. No, not just sounding, but even the dialogue delivery. It almost felt like I was hearing a Ranbir Kapoor in Animal. This, however, fades at different points in the movie, and I would honestly say I was pretty impressed with his performance overall, especially for a debut. He portrays the intense character well, but also has a good grasp over his emotions in the more mellow scenes. Very rarely did his acting seem off, and for the bulk of the movie, he portrays his character really well. Now coming to Aneet Padda. Honestly, I thought she was incredible. She has an amazing range. The way she has acted, you literally feel her character transforming, from portraying the simple, sweet, underconfident girl to someone crying maniacally in intense emotional scenes. She has some great command over her emotions. What also really helps is that she has a clean and simple look, one clearly lacking in the majority of the actresses these days, which makes today's Gen Z actresses feel too urban, and you can't really see them fit well into roles where they portray women in tier 2 or tier 3 cities. Aneet is someone I can see fit across the board, and I truly feel she has some great potential and can go a long way in Bollywood. Now 12 years ago, Mohit Suri hit it out of the park with Aashiqui 2, a film which became a sleeper hit and then a blockbuster. Intense romance with a killer soundtrack. Post this, he had Ek Villain, which also was a very well-made film and did fairly well at the box office as well. But unfortunately, he could not capitalize on this success. He's had a share of flops in the years, and now, with this, he has more than redeemed himself. He has directed this movie beautifully. The emotions are bang on, mixed extremely well with some great background music and sound effects. There are scenes that just suck you in, and the movie is fairly gripping throughout. Moreover, he keeps you invested as the viewer, and very few times do you actually come out of it. And what really helps is the solid editing. Be it the flow of the scenes or beautiful intercutting to make the characters feel disoriented. Editors Rohit and Devendra do a really good job. Now the movie has a solid soundtrack, not as iconic as Aashiqui 2, but still fairly solid. And this just helps in the movie working. After all, you can't tell the story of a musician without good music. And lastly, an integral part of such a movie, the story and screenplay. The screenplay of this movie is very tight. There are barely any dull moments and it flows really well. Yes, there are points which are not fully logical, and at times there are some minor treatments that seem lazy. But when it comes to moving the overall story forward and building the bond between the leading pair, the screenplay does a very good job. So well, if all this is so solid, what's bad? Well, this section has some spoilers, so it's your call if you want to skip it and head to the final verdict instead. So they show in this movie that Ahan Pandey is a struggling musician who's extremely hot-headed. In one scene they show he fights with his crew and says he'll do a gig all by himself. And he does. But it just feels so off, as in the background you can hear drum beats and other instruments and he's only playing the guitar. Now for Aneet, they show a guy she was supposed to marry left her and married the daughter of a rich businessman instead. Down the line, this guy comes back into her life and invests in the company she works for. Okay, cool. And then he invests in the company that's sponsoring Ahan's shows. And after a point, it just feels like, is there no other investor in India? Also, the way they show Ahan's growth seems a little off. He becomes big instantly, and then he quits, and then he comes back, and the entire time it feels like he's getting shows and an audience in a cakewalk. Now, big spoiler here, but they show that in the movie, Aneet is diagnosed with an early onset of Alzheimer's. And right when her parents find out and decide on a course of action, they willingly agree to let her go off on a 2-month retreat to Alibag with Ahan. This is literally after they're talking about how she needs to maintain a certain schedule and take her meds on time, etc., etc., etc. So this just felt really off. There are also similar moments in the screenplay that don't fully make sense. But what helps is that the story constantly moves forward so well that you don't hold on to these for too long. So while taking the pros and the cons into account, I'd say that overall, this movie feels like a solid movie if you want to watch a good romantic drama. And on the BMB meter, I'm giving it an 8 on 10. Yup, I never thought I would rate this movie so high going into it, but well, it definitely exceeded my expectations. You've seen it too? Well then go ahead and drop in a comment and let me know what you thought of it. And hey, if you like the review, then please go ahead and like and share it. And as always, hit that subscribe button to stay tuned. Cheers, and I'll see you soon.